Dustborn is the epitome of modern day slop. There are no redeeming qualities about this game whatsoever. In fact, this game is a perfect example of what's wrong with modern gaming. When you look back at all the games that were cancelled over the years, and to see this game see the light of day is pathetic. It really goes to show how ass backwards the gaming industry is. When people ask why we're so critical on modern games, well, here's your answer. Because games like Dustborn exist and have existed for several years now, and this is what we've been trying to tell you assholes, but you refuse to listen. And that's why we see games like this come out, when this should have been rejected right from the start. Without brand recognition, games like Dustborn don't have a chance in hell, because we see the result of games that can't lean on brand recognition end up doing poorly, such as Forspoken, whereas games like Baldur's Gate 3 or Spider-Man 2 end up succeeding fairly well because of brand recognition, despite them having obvious left-leaning propaganda. Hopefully for any of the smooth brains watching, they can put the pieces together. Woke doesn't sell, brand recognition does. And when you don't have brand recognition, you end up like Dustborn. This is why activists leech on to existing properties, because they know damn well that if they were to make their own IP, no one would buy it. Case in point, Dustborn. It's a perfect example of how delusional these studios are, that they honestly thought that they would put out some woke propaganda slop and people would go out in droves and buy it. But this is where we're at now within the gaming industry, where we have developers so delusional to the point where they think that these are the type of games that we want to play. Games filled with far-left ideologies, yet lack any semblance of innovation or passion. Though, this is to be expected, because when you have the woke mind virus, you have no creativity and you have no soul. All you have is activism, and they operate off of that activism, and it creeps in everything they put out. Yet, they try to tell you otherwise, but when the final product releases, we know what's there. We knew from the start. Time and time again, the same games, the same methods applied. No matter if it's an indie game, a AA game, a AAA game, or in some cases a quadruple A game, it's all the same. Same song, same dance, different name. Every year. All while the activist journalist hacks clap like seals and run damage control for the games that were actually meant for them. Because these games are not meant for us. They were never meant for us. They were meant for activists because they are made by activists. Specifically, far left leaning activists. And when people actually decide to come to grips with that, then maybe you can see exactly what so many of us have been trying to tell you clowns for years now. All of these studios, one by one, becoming compromised with the woke mind virus due to the gaming industry being infested with activists, because motherfuckers within the industry didn't want to gatekeep, and now it's up to us to do what they couldn't do. Because there's no reason we should be seeing a Dustborn come out. But we have it. And we see why. Because people allowed it to happen. People within the industry allowed this to happen. This is a social experiment filled to the brim with propaganda created by unhinged leftists, intended for unhinged leftists, with the sole purpose of creating even more radicalized behavior from these intolerant psychopaths. To see this steaming pile of trash fail in such quick succession brings me joy, because it shows to all the indoctrinated developers what gamers don't want, but what they actually want. What they don't want is woke propaganda slop, but what they do want is escapism. And in the midst of all these woke games flopping one by one, there was one Eastern game that was actually uncompromised, managed to be a huge success. The reason why it succeeded was because it was a quality game that didn't have politics crammed in it. It's really that simple. When you actually listen to the community that you should be catering to, you'll get the results you're looking for. But when you look to reach out to an audience that really doesn't exist, like the modern day audience, you get results that sees your studio laying off employees months after the game releases. So perhaps you might want to listen to the people who are willing to be critical of the games you're willing to put out, opposed to people who are just going to kiss your ass, or those who are going to talk a big game online, but when it comes down to supporting said game on release, they're nowhere to be found. It's up to you. You can succeed or you can fail. You can be a Black Myth Wukong or you can be a Dustborn. The choice is yours, developers. Modern gaming would be so much better if there was less games like Dustborn, and unfortunately, there's plenty of people that fail to see the many similarities between Dustborn and games that have released over the last few years and games that are releasing within the near future. This is why we need to continue to speak with our wallets, but also remember to speak with our voices and not allow smooth brain slop guzzlers to dictate the conversation. I hope more developers like Red Thread Games, the guys behind Dustborn, never get the chance to create a game again, because all they will do is create more woke propaganda slop that no one will buy. Furthermore, I hope they see people's reactions to their shitty game and realize they're not needed and that they absolutely fucking suck.
Oh yeah.